Good morning, Rabbi Sai. All by myself in Colorado. Everybody else is sleeping ready for hours. Trying to get the system up and running by myself with the help of Avremy, Cohen, and Nazir. So we're going to give this a try. I first want to say that the Chayvus Halvavas in Shar Cheshbon Nefesh, I think it's Cheshbon 15, he says that when a person goes on a trip, he packs and he calculates when he's going to get there and how he's going to get there, and what he's going to eat when he gets there, and that's basically what we've been doing. We came with suitcases full of food and different devices to cook the food on for this kid, and that kid gets a different device, and we're going to go here, we're going to go there. It's a whole cheshbon. Kolch came, Ben Benoishek Avachayver says the Chayvus Halvavas, how we have to prepare for our real trip, Las Lavai. We have to think about all the details and what we're going to do here and how we're going to get to this place and what we're going to do, etc., etc. Just want to read a few emails. It's late, and I do apologize to the Chaver in Eretz Yisrael. Usually we like to have a shir at 7:15 live, but this is obviously going to be hours later because of the late hour here in Colorado. We were traveling all day long, and Memela, I asked Mechila in advance. An explanation and appreciation. I know who wrote this email. He told me he's going to write this email, and I believe I know who it is, although it's anonymous. He writes at the end, you know who I am. I want to thank you for what you have helped me with, namely my growth since I began learning with MDY. It began as a simple challenge to add another notch on the belt, finish another Masechta, and look back and say, by the way, I'm literally, the Gemara's on top of a suitcase, which is on top of a desk. I don't even have a desk in this room. It's a beautiful house, but no desks and no that kind of thing. So it's all makeshift and whatever. We're on vacation. He says like this. He wanted to have another notch on his belt for finish another Masechta, to look back and say, I did it. But that is so small and petty. I don't agree 100% to that, but we'll keep on going. I think it's still a great thing to finish a Masechta and make a notch. I think it's great. But he says it's small and petty. It also misses the mark entirely compared to the real growth. You see people write in all the time and wonder, I did the daf, but how come I don't feel a changed person? Oh, this is another email. It's not the anonymous. Okay, sorry. And so it once was with me at the beginning of this journey with MDY. However, I believe we can answer this perplexing question with a simple mathematic formula called the transitive property of equality. If A equals B and B equals C, so A must equal C. Because when a person becomes one with the daf, A equals B, a transformation happens internally whether or not the person realizes it. The person then gradually in time begins to seek other areas of growth, resulting in a different person, B equals C. When that happens, you look back and say, it all started with the daf, A equals C. It's not all that different from the famous Mishnah on Pirkei Avos, mitzvah. It is true, and I'm living proof. On my personal journey, I can tell you that I was someone who struggled to find motivation to get out of bed in the morning and easily allowed distraction and negativity to steal my time and cause me not to be present. It was sometimes difficult to see why this day would be any different than the previous, and inevitably, the negative and endless cycle would continue, making any sort of consistency or spiritual growth impossible to even dream of. Fast forward 18 months after being introduced to MDY, you will meet someone who's present every morning at the local daf shir, early in the morning before chakras, use MDY to chazar of that shir, contributes of its time to the local important causes, gets others to join the daf, and tries to find the time to do more for his community whenever he can. So that is tremendous growth and very impressive. This is a changed person who can no doubt look himself in the mirror and confidently say is a better Jew, husband, father, and community member. The impact of MDY is not only felt in that tiny room in RBS, it has a ripple effect that reverberates far and wide, shaking heaven and earth in the process. While you may see yourself as someone who's just reading a page of the Talmud in front of a camera next to your boy, Nachman, my boy Nachman, having a good time. In actuality, you are helping to inspire, transform, and give greater meaning and purpose to countless lives day in and day out. For that and so much more, on behalf of all who feel the same, I pray to Hashem to continue to give you strength, health, prosperity, to allow you to continue to do this for as long as your heart desires. Anonymous, but you know who. Yes, that is the person. Okay, that's the email. I thought it was. So yishkar for that email. Beautiful email. Rebelli, after all the thank yous and raving about the amazing Miami Sima, I just wanted to reiterate the incredible amount of time, effort, stress, mesirus nefesh, caring, and more that were put in by Michael Ben Shetrit and Donnie Gordon. Now you have to understand, Michael Ben Shetrit came up with this whole thing and it went from beginning to end. Donnie Gordon, I want to give him a big shout out. Not only did he do so much, and without him, the scene wouldn't exist, as told to me by Michael Ben Shetrit and many others. But when he laid out $3,500, and Tomer Levy gave him a $3,500 check from MDY, he took it and ripped it up. So that should be a big schos. I forgot we have to do a schos for his daughter who had a surgery. She should have a full shlema. I don't recall her name, but it should be a schos for her. Be'ezer Hashem will get her name and we'll put in Joel Mizrahi Shkoyach for the email. They who deserve a tenfold Chazak Baruch and Yasher Koyach. Thank you, Joel Mizrahi. Dear Belly, thought you might find this funny while you were enjoying the sun in Florida. Had some fun in the snow last night in Cleveland. And he wrote in the snow, "Good morning, Rabbi Yisai." Mazel tov to see him. I wasn't able to be there, but the visiting pictures look amazing. I was able to hear on Zoom a little bit of a Ephraim Shapiro's speech. Beautiful, beautiful speech. If you have the time, go check it out. It was great. He's a great, great speaker. And his word about the H and the enthusiasm of MDY have a good Shabbos, Moshe Rifkin. Rabbi Sroll Goldstein wrote me an email. I think after thinking about it a little bit, I'm not going to read it, even though it moved me. It did give me a few tears, but because there might be a problem of gaiva for me over here, so I'm just going to skip it, unfortunately. I like it a lot. He calls me a Rebbe Muvik in Torah, and I gave him a lesson in life, which I'm not going to go into. Okay, Yishkoyach Rabbi Yisrael. Next, Moshe Leibowitz writes that no talking in Shul Sefer because of the Yom Tzvi Shul in Miami. I spoke about this shul that my son davens in now and loves it, and I was so impressed by this shul that it's a shul of Balabatim, a shul of working class people, younger guys, the cooler guys, all sorts of guys. And there's zero talking. There's zero tolerance for talking, which led me to believe that everybody really wants a place like that. Deep down, even the schmoozers don't want to schmooze. Just they can't control themselves. If they have somebody that gives them a little push, and I know that to be a fact because I know it about myself, I know about my good friend Dr. Dauber. We had a whole bet going on for a year, and sometimes people need an incentive. Hi. I actually wrote the Sefer because of the shul you daven in this past Shabbos called B'Yom Tzvi in Miami. Sefer will be published after Shavuos. If you want to get involved, let me know. Keep on going. 75 people turned out in New York City to see Motzi Shabbos in Brooklyn. Mazel Tov, beautiful. There's over 50 people in this picture, I believe. And finally, here we are by the sponsors. As I said, sitting here on a chair with my Gemara propped up on our suitcase. I made a shackle. This light, which might be too bright for the picture, is propped up on a pillow. 2 cameras in front of me, propped up on another suitcase. All is great. The coil is sponsored by Anonymous from Lakewood. The second coil sponsor of the month is supporting Torah Strength in our B'tachon. Now, with us came the amazing Shlomo Lazarian. He came with my son Akiva, and he was supposed to be here, but he fell asleep, so I'm not going to wake him up. Everybody's really tired and sleeping throughout the night. The Masechta is sponsored by Meiser. The Masechta is sponsored by Lili Nishmas Chaya Bas Yosef, by Anonymous. The Paras HaChodesh, Lili Nishmas Zachariah Ben Moshe. The Paras HaChodesh, Prinzinel and Gross, Lili Nishmas, the Yorses of our fathers, Shlomo Zalman Ben Yitzchak Isaac, Olav Shalom, Benyamin Isaac, Ben Tzvi Hirsch, Cohen, Olav Shalom. The Paras HaShavua, Vladislav Zakharov, a successful research trip to Aragon National Lab. 3. Parnasei Hayoim, Shlomi Rosenberg. Yishkoyach Reb Shlomi Rosenberg. For everything you do. I'm not supposed to say this, but I don't care. I have to. Lili Nishmas, my grandmother, Leah Rivka Bas Moshe Reb Yehuda. That's Moshe Yehuda, so maybe that's what it's supposed to say. Again, Leah Rivka Bas Reb Moshe Yehuda. In honor of my brother, in Las Jobi Cabasso, for starting the Daf with MDY. Okay, I don't know. The schos refuah shleima for Yana Michal Ben Adino Sima, who needs a big Yeshua. And finally, the art is sponsored for complete refuah for Chaim Tzvi Ben Leah. Rabbi Isai, we're starting a brand new Mishnah, Daf Zayin Amud Aleph. Omar Hareini Nazir. If one says, I'm going to be a Nazir, Achaz G'doyla, it's a tremendous undertaking for me. I can't believe I'm doing it. It's unbelievable. Hareini Nazir Achaz Ktana, or it's nothing for me. What's that lacha? Afilu mikan that soifa olam. If he says from here to the end of the world, it's like unbelievable, as the Gemara is going to explain. That he's referring to the difficulty of it. He's only a Nazir for Nazir Shloshim Yoy. Says the Gemara, why is it only 30 days when the person says specifically it's on from here to the end of the world? Hachi Kamer, this is what he meant to say. This thing is so difficult and long for me. Like to the end of the world. Which brings to mind the very, very famous story of Rav Moshe Feinstein. As Rav Moshe, why is it that there's some people that sacrificed themselves for Shabbos in America? They would find a job every single week, and nevertheless, they didn't have success with their children. The children went off the derech. So the famous Rav Moshe says, because when these parents came home from losing another job, they would say, Oi, es ist schwer zu sein ein Yid. It's tough to be a Jew. Instead of saying it's geschmack to be a Jew, and I took another hit, and I go weiter, we're going to find another job. It's Oi, es ist schwer zu sein ein Yid. Which brings to mind that I got to be careful. I myself personally, we all have to be careful, but I myself have to be careful today, tomorrow. And I say, Oi, it's schwer to do Daf Yomi when you're on vacation, to do besimcha, at least fake it. Okay. Oh, how am I going to go skiing and do the Daf? Oh, it's terrible. It's so hard. No, it's gewaldig. Vat on the skiing. Grow up, Eli. You don't need to ski so many hours. Zog the Gemara, Tana. Hareini Nazir mikan ad mokum ploini. If a person says, I'm a Nazir from here until that place. Oimdim kama yomim mikan va mokum ploini. So, again, I'm learning this Gemara on a plane, learning it on traveling, and I'm thinking to myself, wow, how lucky we are. Actually, if this was 100 years ago, I would never be in Colorado. I don't think there's any reason for me to travel 4 months on a donkey to go skiing. By the time you get here, it's already summer. It just wouldn't happen. It's because we have aircraft that could bring you in 2 hours from Miami to Colorado, etc., from Chicago to Colorado. But in those days, we have to mamish give Hakar Satayt HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We're able to travel from America to Eretz Yisrael in 12 hours, in 10 hours. It's unbelievable. Instead of going on a boat for a month or whatever it is. So in those days, he says, I want to be a Nazir from the time it takes me to go from here to there. Obviously, they didn't have an airplane because then it would be half a day. We're talking about months, we're talking about weeks. And we have to see how many days it takes to get from here till there. Says the Gemara, let's say it takes, the traveling is less than a 30-day trip, because Naziros is always minimum 30 days. Even if you say, I want to be a Nazir for one day, it automatically becomes 30 days. And if it's more, let's say it takes 70 days, so a person becomes a Nazir for 70 days. Ask the Gemara, how come now we don't say the same idea? That all he was talking about is how difficult Nazirus is for me. I can't drink wine for 30 days. It's like a 70-day Naziros. But really, what he meant to say is 30 days. Why do we say it's 70? He was already on the way. I have to make sure I'm able to read this. Hold on. I have a new trick. If I can't read, since I'm on vacation, I can go like this. It still doesn't help. Oh, good thing I looked here. Because the Rosh says that the Var is, this Machalek Rishonim, how to learn it exactly. But he's on the way. But why did he make a neder? Because he made a neder in order to help him, in order to give him a schos that should be easy for him. HaKadosh Baruch Hu should help him on the way. He should get to the destination in one piece. So that's why he made a neder. That's why he made a nazirus. Like in our days, people give $1 and they say, here's shlich mitzvah money. So he did nazirus mitzvah so that he should be saved. There's actually a question. When do you say Tfilas Haderech? So the Tur brings the Maram Rottenberg, you should say Tfilas Haderech in Shachros. Shulchan Aruch says no. He uses this lashon. Hichzik Baderech. You're already on the way. So a lot of Avremy explain that even the Maram Rottenberg is only talking about the second day of the trip. The first day of the trip, you shouldn't say it in Shachros before he started. You should only say it in Shachros. If he's already on the way, he's in his hotel room, and he's about to continue the journey, then you say B'Shachris. They bring rice from this Gemara. Says the Gemara, V'lehevi kol parso. Every mile, every unit of travel, every parso should be another Nazirus. Omra Papa, Basra Deloy Mani Parso. It's in a place they don't measure these kind of units of travel by a person. Ask the Gemara, okay, V'lehevi kol avno v'avno. So not by distance, but by days of traveling. Milot na, then we learn in the Mishnah, Hareini Nazir kafar haaretz u'chisar roishi. I want to be a Nazir like the dirt in the ground. Now we know it's impossible to count the dirt in the ground, but it's countable. I mean, it has a certain number, but he doesn't know what that number is. U'chisar roishi. How many strands of hair does a human being have? Anywhere from 100,000 to 150,000, depends how thick his hair is, how thin the hair is, but it's a lot. And like the sand on the beach. Harezin Nazir Oilam Umigaleach Echad L'Shloshim Yom. I came up with 3 types of Nazir Oilam. 3 types of people that are Nazir forever. The first one, in green, is a type of Nazir who every 12 months, we had a machlokes every 30 days, every 12 months, he starts his Nazirus again. Then he brings the karbanos, he takes a haircut, etc. Then we have a Nazir like Avshalom. I hope I'm not confusing the two. Nazir like Avshalom is when his hair is heavy, feels it's heavy, then he can take a haircut with a razor, obviously not to the skull, but he takes hair. And then we have another one that we're going to learn about, that this guy can never get a haircut. Never. He's a Nazir La'ila. Not to be confused with the Nazir Shimshon. So says the Gemara, if a person says that he's a Nazir like a Pharaoh Oretz, and like the head, my hair on my head, so then he's a Nazir Oilam Mugilech Echad L'Shleishim Yom. Once every 30 days, like in the green. Says the Gemara, says the Gemara, anything that has a set amount, we're not talking about. Why? And the Gemara brings a raya about Tanya. Hareini Nazir kol yemei chayai. My entire life. Hareini Nazir oilo. Or I want to be a Nazir forever. Hareze Nazir oilo. So this is the type of guy that's a Nazir forever, meaning he could like we had every 30 days, every year, he could take a haircut. Afilu me'el shana, afilu elef shanim, ain't a Nazir oilo. Now it's a new category. If a guy says 100 years, so he gives a unit, he says it's a certain amount, it's a defined amount, it's 100 years, it's 1,000 years. Now we know nobody lives for 1,000 years, but it's a defined amount. So his Naziros is not, he's not a Nazir Oilam, but he's a Nazir Le-Oilam. That's the red one. That's a guy that's a Nazir, he can never bring a carbon, never take a haircut. Interesting, because just last night in Miami, I met an unbelievable Yid, Reb Shmuel Beller. He's a Yid that has the tattoo on his arm. He went through Auschwitz. Actually, he was born in Auschwitz, in the city called Auschwitz. And he gave me a bracha. He gave many people brachas over there. It was an amazing experience. And he kept on saying how much he loves the shir. His daughter was there, and she says she knows she turns on the shir for this individual every single day. And it got me thinking that, and she said, are you going to come to Brooklyn? Maybe come to Brooklyn, give a live shir for my father. And she gave me chizuk to come to New York. We'll have to fit it into the schedule, so not this trip, but maybe Pesach time or something, we have to speak to the saddle. I'll go upon him. It turns out that he might be the oldest person that listens to the shir, because he's almost 96 years old. We had a 92-year-old in Baltimore, and then more recently we had somebody else that said he was a little older, but I don't think we have a 96-year-old that listens every single day, and he came to the live shir in Miami. I actually have a picture of him. Where is he? Here he is. So he was 14 years old when he got that tattoo, and it turns out the number is 184805. If you do the calculation, 1 plus 8 is 9, 4 is 13, 8 is 21, and 05 is 26, which is Yud K Vav K. He just discovered that not so long ago. He was davening in shul, he was putting on tefillin, and an individual saw the number and said, hey, that's Yud K Vav K. It's not like he caught on to it when he was 20. Zog the Gemara. Question. What do you tell somebody what kind of bracha do you give somebody at their 120th birthday? It's a really bad joke. There's no other jokes here, Nazir. What kind of bracha do you give somebody on the 120th birthday. Have a great day. Shkoyach. Oh, so says the Gemara, if a person says a Nazirus for 100 years or 1,000 years, so he's a Nazir La'ilam. So the same halacha would apply if a person says, I'm a Nazir until this and this place. When a person says it's this and this place, so it's a determined thing. I'm a Nazir from here to there. I'm a Nazir for 100 years, for 1,000 years. It's determined. So it's one long Nazirus. So that answers the Gemara's question. You don't break it up into nights, into different things. It's one unit. I want to be a Nazir one time for 70 days, for 2 years, however long it takes me to travel from here to there. The same thing would be if a person says, I want to be a Nazir for 100 years. It's one unit of Nazirus for 100 years. He might not live that long, but that's it. He can never take a haircut for the rest of his life. Rav Omar, Shani Sarois, Hoyul, Umuvdal Zumazu. Rav makes the distinction, when it comes to here, they are separated from each other. But when it comes to days, units of days and time is not separated by anything. Time is just one long thing. Says the Gemara, wait a minute, but maybe time is separated. It says, so you see, units. It's one day, a second day. So Gemara also we're not saying that they're different. It's just called a different name, but it's one long unit. My Kalmar, Yomama v'Layla chad yomu. All the Torah is trying to tell us is that one night and one day equals one day. A night and a day equals one day. But all days and all time are connected to each other. It's just one long thing. But there's no break in it. Here, a strand of hair is an individual unit. You have another strand. They're all individual units, whereas time is not individual units. Rav Omar, when a person says that I'm going from here, my Nazirus is from here until the end of the world, so maybe it means till the end of the world. Says Rav Omar, why are you asking so many questions? Shani Yasam, Doktani Hareini Nazir Achas. So it's the Mishnah calls it Achas. The Mishnah says Hareini Nazir Achas Gdoila. That's how he said it. He used the term one, so it's actually one long unit, not broken down. Says the Mishnah. The Heilige Mishnah is sponsored by Yoel Friedman Lilishmas, my dear father, Chamarum Shalom Yeruchim, then Shal David Olav Shalom. If a person says Hareini Nazir, what's Hareini Nazir? We know Hareini Nazir is 30 days. So if a person says Hareini Nazir, and then he adds to that V'yoyim Echad. So how long should he be a Nazir for? 31 days or no, not 31 days. 60 days. 2 times Nazirus. 30 days, stops, and restarts all over again for a second time. Hareini Nazir v'yom echad, or he says, Hareini Nazir v'shah achas, 30 days and also 1 hour. Hareini Nazir achas umechza, 1.5 times, like 45 days. Hareini Nazir shtayim. In all these cases, he has to keep 2 times the 30-day Nazirus. Says the Gemara, why do I need all these different examples? Aren't they all the same? No. I need each and every one. If a person just said, I want to be a Nazir and one day, there's no such thing as being a Nazir for one day. So as soon as they say one day, that invokes a 30-day term. That's why you have to keep 2 times Nazirus. But an hour is not a unit that we're talking about. A full day, you can't have one day, so you have to make it 30 days. But 1 hour is nothing. So maybe he never meant to make it a Nazirus. When a person says 1 day, he meant to make it a full Nazirus. A person says 1 hour, he never meant it. He just meant a part of the day. So maybe he meant 31-day period, not a 60-day. Komash Malon, he meant a 60-day period. And now we're just turning to the Amud Beis, sponsored the Choy Yeshivas Nomad Torah, Yerushalayim. Rav Dover Amin Shlito, who always encourages us to finish us. Also, Latzlocha for the Maggid Shir, the members of the HBA group and their families. Amen. Now the Gemara is just going to continue and explain. I'm supposed to do this. Okay. V'itana shoachas. The Gemara is just explaining why do we need all these different cases. We'll just say the case of 1 hour that he's doing, 30 days and 1 hour, because Naziros is not something that you count in hours. But when a person uses the terminology 1.5, that's part of Naziros. The Nachas Ladafka, he defined something that has to do with Naziros. Naziros is not in hours, Naziros is in days, and he defined 45 days. Maybe you shouldn't do 60 days, you should only do 45. All these cases, as soon as you say, Hareni Nazir, and then you add something else, an hour, a day, 1.5, they're all meaning a double Naziros. Says the Heilige Mishnah, sponsored by Yoel Friedman. Leili Nishmas, my dear father, Chaim Avrum, Shulam, Yerucham, Ben, Yisrael, Duvid, Olav Shalom. Hareni Nazir, Shloishim Yoim, Vishoachas. Over here, he doesn't say just Hareni Nazir. Over here, in this case, he defines the days. He says 30 and 1 hour. Or he says, Nazir Shloishim Ve'echad Yoim. He says straight out, I want to be a Nazir for 31 days. Sorry, let's start again. Hareni Nazir Shloishim Yoim B'Shoachas. Then the halacha is Nazir Shloishim Echad Yoim. He becomes a Nazir for 31 days. Why? She'ein Nazirus L'Shais. Since you cannot become a Nazir for hours. So obviously he meant 31 days. But over here it's different because he said straight out 30. He explained the amount of days. Now if you look at the pasuk, it says Kol Yimei Nizroi. When it comes to Naziros, Naziros is defined by days and not by hours. Because she also given a So what the Mishnah is saying is that when a person says 30 days and 1 hour, what he meant is 31 days. Because he couldn't have meant 30 days and an hour, because Naziros doesn't go by hours. So we could be medai from the Mishnah that if a person says 30, because if a person says 30 days and an hour, what he means is 31 days. So if a person says 31 days, he's a Nazir for 31 days, right? Says the Gemara, it's only when a person says 31 days. If he says 31 days straight out, so he gave you a term. A person could say that he's a Nazir for as many days as he wants. He could say 70 days, he could say 5 years, 10 years. You could also say 31 days. That's great. But what if he says 30 and 1 day? That's different. He didn't say 31 days. He said 30 days and 1 day. That's already 2 terms of Naziros. Rav Savalak Rebbe Kiva, because Rav holds like Rebbe Kiva, the Dorish Lishni Tiro. If a person adds words we have to listen to his words and be medayik in his words. What? It's not loy es habar v'loy es hadus. A person sells a property, so he doesn't include in the property. Let's see if I have it over here. Oh, here's a bar. On the left side is a bar. Dus is a cistern. Basically, it's something that holds water above the ground. A bar is in the ground, a dus is above the ground. So, says the Gemara, if a person sold a house, and in the front yard there's a nice bar, or in the backyard there's a nice dus, he didn't include that. Even if in the contract it says I'm selling you everything above and below ground, it doesn't include that. So who owns it? The seller owns the bar and the dus. But wait a minute. The seller can't get to the bar and the dus. How's the seller going to get there? The surrounding property is owned by the buyer. Says the Tana that he has to buy the permission to get there. Or he could use one of those. I met somebody in Miami, one of my son's friends, a young guy. Him and his partner are developing a drone with 8 engines that carries human beings. I always thought that would be the future because I own a drone. I'm very into these little drones, the Mavics, whatever. They're very, very accurate. They go backwards, forwards, and they hold their position in midair, and they don't move like not an inch to any direction. So imagine if you have a vehicle like that could hold a person, flies to the store, comes back. You don't even have to probably all the maps are digital, and you know where other drones are. And that's probably the future. So, anyways, this guy in Miami, Tower 41, he's developing these drones. He sold, I don't know how many, hundreds at $250,000 a pop. Just the right to buy it. Not obviously, they're not selling them yet. So the only way to get this bar and dus is to use a drone. Well, land on your bar, take some water, and leave. Or you could buy the rights to get there. So we're trying to find where Rebbe Kiva uses the extra language that a person says. He uses extra words, and we're medayik in his words, and we learn a new halakha or a new concept from it. Divrei Rebbe Kiva. Chacham say no. He never sold the rights to get there. If he didn't sell the bar, he didn't sell the path either. Moide Rebbe Kiva is man shomar loy chutz me'elu. Now, a bar and dus is not included in the sale. So if a person adds these words, but I'm not selling you the bar and the dus, there's no reason for him to add those words. Why is he adding those words? He's adding those words because he wants to have a pathway. That means that we take his words, those extra words that he didn't have to say, and he said them, and we're going to use them and help him out. If he says chutz me'elu, which are extra, he shouldn't have said it. In that case, he doesn't have to acquire a way. Rabbi, believe it or not, one of the all-time records, one of the shortest shiurim. Well, that's what happens on vacation. Have a wonderful day.